What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the Hunting Challenge. This is a special edition as part of a 4-part series on how to become a better hunter, learning from the pros. I had the privilege and opportunity to sit down with two well sought after professional hunters that get it done consistently year in and year out. These guys aren't your average hunters. They've been on podcasts throughout the nation. Simply put, they're very knowledgeable about bow hunting big bucks. Through this series, we cover a ton of information that covers the full spectrum of how to become a better hunter. As I said, this is a 4-part series, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications so you can be notified as I roll out new parts of this series. Lastly, as you're watching this and you have any questions, post them in the comments below. We'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible with the answers. So with all that said, let's get rolling. What's up, guys? So Jon White with the Hunting Challenge. I'm here with Todd Freeman, UP bow hunter, Greg Litzinger, bow hunting fiend, and today we decided just to put something together that addresses each and every part of the season to help improve my success and your success in the field. These two guys have been sought after really across the country with their knowledge in hunting. They're slayers. So first part that we wanted to talk about was how you guys go about picking out a piece of property that you're going to hunt, and just kind of unpack that, like what features you're looking for and stuff like that. So, okay. Todd, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, if we're talking about local or out of state, or how exactly?
Well, I want to try to do this like as it pertains like Mid-Atlantic.
Okay.
Because I mean, you tell me. So I like hunting ag. So if I go out of state, I'll probably take what I learn here locally and try to mirror or match that if I go out west. So.
Good deal. So matching the pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matching what you're. Okay. So for me, if I'm gonna be looking for a new place to hunt, I'm gonna be trying to myself. I'm always trying to find a place that is away from people the most I can. So if say we're in South Jersey, and if it's a piece I've never walked, I'm gonna look for some places that are new to me. I would probably be looking for a big chunk or a small chunk that has hard access to get to it. And then, generally I'd like to have a big piece that I could get, but for the most part in a populated place, in a pressure place like New Jersey, the big pieces are get pounded by people. So
what would you say is the difference between, like rough acreage wise, between a small piece and a big piece in
the big piece
area?
Other people now, especially with all the mapping and since satellite imagery and stuff like that's out there, people know the big pieces. They're going to use those big pieces. For the most part, I think big people or big places, people are still going to access from the same places. So what I would look for if I was going to go to a bigger piece, and what I'm looking for on that bigger piece is a piece of it, or a corner of it, or something there's something that separates the average person that walks in and is setting up a stand before the season or whatever, and getting into a place where people have a harder time getting in. So where 75% of the people aren't going. Okay, so your first go-to is to try, regardless of the piece, to eliminate pressure from other hunters. Absolutely. Okay. I'm a bow hunter. I like to see deer do deer stuff. And deer don't do deer stuff in the pressure where there's a lot of people, where they've been pressured a lot. Right. You know what I mean? Even does are walking around with, acting like they're on pins and needles in those areas. They'll go in there and feed, and they'll go in there in the daytime. Right. You know what I mean? But they're not doing what normal deer do. They're, They're wound up. Yeah. And the bucks aren't going to come in there during daylight. The bucks that the majority of us are looking for. Right. Right.
Would you add anything to that? As far you're in agreement with the people, right? With the people part.
I used to avoid people. Now I've learned to use them. Because people, like Todd said, are more predictable than deer. Yeah. If this dude's here, South Jersey, predominantly, I would say 50 or 60% easily hunting every bait. All these people are just pounding the same stand, same group of stands. Usually they're grouped together. So I use that, and I try and all right, they're coming in here. Most of these guys will hunt numerous wind directions. So any bucker, he knows that. He's just going to avoid them, skirt around. You start finding better buck sign, 100 yards, 20 yards away from them. So if I know there's like in the Bigwood section, like Millville, there's a lot of access roads. There's some access roads that are you can't really drive down. So people take their four-wheelers down, and park in the same spots and with all their bait stuff. So I know that, the deer know that. So it's like, all right, you guys keep blow that area out. I'm just going to just go over here, and use those people just to, because even does will discourage that, especially during the rut, and then does get a little edgy from the pressure. They're going to go downwind to the bait piles. They're going to bed close to bait piles, and just I use people more efficiently than I have in the past. And I think a lot of people will get this upset by pressure. I don't, because like Todd said, we live in a populated state. Pressure's everywhere. So pressure is normal to them. People getting bumped is normal. So they're not going to run to the hills. There's going to be more find those seams where human sense never is.
Right.
Because most people they're going out and walking in and out. They're not really scouting on their way out, or they might do like a quick scout, but they're fast walking. Like Todd and I, we scout our way in, hunt, scout our way out. You're constantly, you're always hunting. Not just like, I gotta hurry up and get to the stand. Like, if I get there, I'll wake up late, I just slowly ease in at first light. I'm still hunting, I just still hunt to my spot and set up.
So what, all right, so that we cover the people. So what about like terrain features are you looking for, whether it's elevation or?
So South Jersey,
there's no elevation.
You know what I mean? So elevation doesn't make a big difference to me, but if we're talking about land features or whatever, the water.
Okay.
For me, if you look through any of my history, if you've been a friend of mine, I send you pictures in the fall when I kill something, probably 3/4 of my deer, you'll get a picture of a buck in a canoe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I use canoes, kayaks, everything a lot. That separates a lot of people. And I don't understand why water does, but for whatever reason, people just are not going to put that kind of work in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you think about the average population of bow hunters in, let's say, New Jersey, the average population is going to go buy a $30 stand from Dick's with some sticks or some screw and pegs, and they're going to set it up this time of year or right before the season opens up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't put the work in. They're putting the work in, but they're putting it up doing it one time. They're not doing it every single time, setting it up and pulling it.
They limit themselves.
Yes. So they're not going to put the work in for the most part. They're not going to put the stand up in a canoe this time of year and go back in there and put the stand up. If they do, they're going to hunt it one time, over and over and over again.
Right. Right.
That's pretty easy too. You start seeing the trails coming up off the banks. If you're paddling in, you're seeing the same.
Yeah.
He's not hunting mobile. He's
right.
You know what I mean?
I got one spot in the canals like that. Once mid-November kicks in, because that's when the bucks start running through the swamps, and I paddle past this one spot, and it's like just a John boat. He just rams it in,
right.
And it's like, and by shotgun season, it's like lures his runway. So he's most like sitting over bait, or just sitting there, in some type of funnel or something. It's the same stand, just over and over and over and over and over. And it's a good spot, good area, but they're relying on a lot of luck,
Right.
Hopefully that a buck chases a doe through here, or a doe brings a buck. Well, I just think they're low odds, personally.
So one of the things that kind of like the rule of thumb I went by years ago was to stay out of bedding areas. Obviously, in early season, you're looking for transition from bed to feed, right? And in the areas that you guys are more prominent to hunt, it's not necessarily ag field, or is it?
No.
Very little.
Yeah. If I do hunt ag, I'm usually far away from the. If there is ag nearby, I'm hundreds of yards away.
Even in the early season. Yeah. Okay. Why is that? Like, I
just don't have much luck. Usually, I'm a morning guy, even in the early season. I don't have much luck in the evening. I just don't know what that is.
Yeah.
If I hunt, within 100 yards of ag, like I'll see a buck, but I don't, the deer, especially early season, bigger bucks you target, they're kind of more predictable. And it seems like you'll see them, and then I never see them like once hunting season starts. So they're staging up, but they're changing their pattern a little bit. So for me, getting close to their bedroom, the hub on the spoke, they're more likely to take this one trail. But as they get closer to the ag, the wind shifts or pressure or whatever, they might do this. But when they're closest to their bedding, it's like, all right, 100 yards from their bedding, they're usually 1 or 2 trails, and the odds are better. Hunt 1 or 2 trails than say 8 trails.
Yeah. Would you add anything to that?
No, not really. Like I said, majority of my places are in swamps around here, so it's water access for the most part. And the swamps around here that I hunt, there's not much egg at all. So egg to me is not a thing unless I'm hunting in an area with egg.
Yeah.
Like him and I are going to be hunting an early season thing, and egg is. We've already went down and did some scouting and stuff like that, and egg is what we're looking for down there.
Right.
But it's an out-of-state hunt, and it's an unusual hunt. Like last year, I went down there and had some success, in the first couple of days of the season, and it was all about the egg. I wanted to go in there, I had dropped pins and all these points in the swamps and everything else, and went and looked at them, and there's no deer in them yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? The deer haven't been pushed, the bucks haven't been pushed back into those areas yet.
So what would be the food source in those situations, like back in the swamp? Are they just browse?
Browse and acorns. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But browse is the big thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things. Everybody wants to do the acorn thing.
Right.
A lot of the swamps that I hunt, what I'll do in the summertime is go through, especially if I never hunted it before, I'll just go through and paddle through without even having to go in and just mark oaks that I see when I'm paddling through, and just drop pins on oaks. Because those oaks, where there's not a lot of oaks, are the oaks that's the main food source when they start dropping in late August.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that becomes the food source. And those isolated ones are magnets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And other guys they're just not doing that. Most of them are in the early season, aren't even going back in those swamps.
So before the season starts, are you doing most of your scouting like before summer or during summer or even like spring? Like how do you manage your time, and if you only had one type of season to scout in, what would it be?
If it was one type of season scouting, first of all, I'm gonna probably have a pretty good idea of the lay of the land, because I'll walk in there during the winter time when I'm shed hunting. I love shed hunting. I love finding sheds more than I like killing deer anymore, really. You know what I mean? And so I'm walking in the wintertime with my dog or whatever, and getting a good lay of the land. I'm dropping pins on scrapes and rubs and everything else. And then you just got to kind of tie into, like, what time is it? Are those, you try to put a time frame on when you think it would be the best time, and just put that on your pin. This would be, there's an oak here, there's some rubs here, some scrapes. Find a bed, you drop a pin on the bed, and try to utilize that stuff. So for me, and Greg, you may be the same way. I think we're a lot alike when it comes to a lot of things, but I drop those pins, and I get my Onyx map just loaded with pins in the wintertime, and then during the season when I'm seeing things, I'm dropping pins. So if it's a Friday night for me, and I got tomorrow to hunt, and I got till noon to hunt tomorrow morning, I start putting my plan together. All those pins on my Onyx map are just things that I sit there and look at the weather, and I just go over it for a couple hours and get my gear together, start putting my pack together for the next day on things that I know I'm going to need for that weather, whatever the weather is, if it's cold, whatever the temperature wise is, try to get all my gear together. I'm utilizing the outline and the map and try to put a plan together with all those pins that I have. So that's basically the way I scout, and then I'm scouting on my way in every place. You know what I mean? Like for the morning, some people may think I'm crazy. I use a headlamp, and I use them a lot.
Right.
And
you want to see?
Some people think that you're spooking deer and all that. I've never had that problem, to be completely honest with you. I've never had the problem with them spooking. Maybe because I'm back in farther than where the deer are at in the morning when I'm going in, and I'm waiting for them to come. A lot of even in South Jersey, a lot of my morning hunts happen between 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning. Early season, October. That's so. If you're in an area and you're getting deer that are coming back or are moving through, 3-year-old deer or older that are coming back, and that includes does too.
Right.
And you're in an area and they're coming through at 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning in the early season, or even all the way into October. If you're in an area like that, you're doing you're doing everything right.
Okay.
Everything was right there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because those deer are so unpressured in the area that you're at that they're literally not. They're there 2 hours after.
Right.
They would have been. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now, do either one of you rely on trail cameras for scouting preseason?
I started to once I became a father.
Yeah.
Less time in the woods.
Okay.
Before I had kids and I was married, I mean, my life was literally in the woods. Every day. That was my life. Work woods. And I would log so many hours in between January and like the end of turkey season. Like I was good. I had everything done. Now, I don't have that. And I would just rely on all my intel. Now I don't have, for me personally, I feel like I need to have so many hours in the woods to say, all right, I can let my guard down. I know things are going to happen. Now, instead of having 10, 12 hour sun up, sundown scouting, I have a 3-hour window. Well, I can't get all that stuff done. So I've been using cameras just to see if there's a deer we're shooting. Because now even hunting season, my time's limited. I can't just like, I'm just going to hunt every day. Sorry, hon, take care of the kids.
Right.
So if there's not a buck worth shooting, I just don't really want to waste my time.
Right.
So I use cameras for, I'm a horrible summer camera guy. I run them and it's like, I'll get like one picture of a decent buck. You know, like Clint, he's a phenomenal camera guy. He can put cameras up wherever he goes and gets giant bucks. I'm like, I don't know. Once the season starts and they go to Hardhorn, you know, that's when I start getting all my stuff because I know where the buck's gonna, that pressure's gonna just make them go this way.
So there's so that transition. I'm glad you brought that up. That transition, in your opinion, is coming from the pressure of the hunting pressure, not so much the natural behavior.
Yeah, combination of both.
Okay.
Because our season starts early here in Jersey, so. Our season starts just as they're the testosterone is starting to ramp up a little bit, Hardhorn, and they're going to just, you know, so that pressure is going to just make that happen sooner and to spread them, you know, especially if a piece gets a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
By people, you know, or hikers. You know, I hunt some spots, bird watchers, hikers. So pressure comes from, especially in the fall, you know, it's a good time to be in the woods. There's just a lot of activity in the woods, and deer are like, all right, it's time to go transition over to where I know I'm safe. And that's, I think, why I get a lot of good camera intel once October comes. Like August and September, it's not very, my camera intel is not that good.
All right, so that's a wrap for this segment of this 4-part series. Let me remind you one more time, for the next 30 days, anybody that subscribes to my channel, I will donate $1 to Bow Hunters United. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell and be on the lookout for the next part of this series. Appreciate y'all watching. See y'all.